So the console war has been going crazy lately because, I mean, I haven't seen Microsoft and Sony butt heads this much in an incredibly long time. I mean, we're seeing Microsoft accuse Sony of doing different things. Sony is just out here doing various things to try to stop Microsoft from getting like just a hold of this generation since they dominated the previous generation. They want to keep that holding. I mean, there's so much going on, and before we dive in, of course, please do like the video and subscribe for more content. So what am I talking about here? Well, the console war has been a thing since, consoles were first created, especially during the Nintendo Sega era. I mean, we saw it all the time. Sega does what Nintendo don't. I mean, they've been attacking each other since the beginning, and well, now it seems to be flaring up again. Now, I don't remember the 360 or even really the Xbox One era being that much of a console war. I know when the Xbox One was first announced, they made a huge misstep and said that you couldn't play used games, you had to be online all the time. Sony capitalized that and said, this is how you exchange used games on the PlayStation. This is how you let friends play your games.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
PlayStation.
That immediately was just shots fired. Microsoft was down, and the entire generation, really that set the tone for the entire generation as Microsoft came out saying you can't have used games. If you want to play your Xbox and you don't have the internet, the 360 is still available for you. I mean, that was the worst marketing I'd ever seen for any video game console besides the Wii U. I mean, it was an abysmal failure of a generation for almost the whole way, except for near the end. They started picking up a little bit of steam with this little thing called Games Pass that has since blown up. Now, Xbox Game Pass has become one of the biggest things out there to the point where PlayStation decided, hey, we need this as well. So PlayStation started their own with their PlayStation Plus different tiers and allowing people to play a large catalog of both new and old games, just like how Microsoft was doing, which was, again, a great move, wonderful idea by Sony to just look at them and go, that's working for them, we need to do it. And I mean, it's working out for people as well. People are incredibly happy. People who have that extra PlayStation Plus service are really happy with what they have. However, again, we're looking at competition here. We're looking at the war. And Xbox is doing something that PlayStation isn't, which is putting their first-party titles on Game Pass day one. Whereas PlayStation, they're not willing to make that bet. I understand Microsoft has a lot more money than Sony. They're allowed to make those gambles. They're allowed to make those big bets. Though I think it would be a great idea on Sony's part to start putting more faith in their service. Because the more faith they have in their own service, the more likely people are going to start adopting it. I mean, if PlayStation first-party titles went on that thing day one, I would have it. But currently, they don't. So I don't either. They haven't half-assed it, but they definitely didn't put their full ass into it. It seems like they held back on the full potential of PlayStation Plus. Now, that being said, PlayStation Plus Vanilla versus Xbox Live Gold Vanilla. PlayStation Plus has some amazing free games every month. Xbox normally just a big steaming pile of crap because they don't care about vanilla anymore. They have stopped caring about the games with gold. That's not the selling point. If you have an Xbox, you most likely have Xbox Live and you're paying for it. They want you on Game Pass, so they're putting all of their money into getting games day one, whether it's first party or not, because they're getting a lot of those third-party games day one on Game Pass, making it look like a great value. Now, Sony needs to do the same thing, but apparently they're not. I mean, Microsoft is alleging that Sony is actually spending money just to block multi-platform games from appearing on Game Pass, which is ridiculous. I mean, what Sony should be doing is focusing their time, attention, and resources and money on making their service better, not trying to make the competitions worse. You make the competitions worse by making yours better. That's just how you do it. And instead, they're They're paying these block fees to publishers to stop games from going onto Game Pass. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's not helping your customers, it's only hurting Xbox customers. If you're looking to bring people over to the PlayStation ecosystem, alienating the customers of the other console doesn't make any sense to me. You're just going to piss them off, and maybe they'll think twice about buying your system as a second console. It just seems like a huge misstep to waste your time, effort, and money on stopping things going to a different service instead of just beefing up your own platform. Sony has also been doing some weird things when it comes to the console war lately, like trying to stop the Activision Blizzard acquisition, which, I mean, like, I get it. It makes sense. They're worried about losing Call of Duty, though I don't think Microsoft would want to lose out on all of that potential income. Think about how much money is made off those tens of millions of PlayStation players. It wouldn't make any sense for them to make Call of Duty an exclusive to Xbox only. You could say the same thing about Starfield, I guess, but Starfield isn't going to be chock full of microtransactions and other BS like Call of Duty is, so they want that on every platform possible because it's just a money-making machine. However, I do disagree with Sony, and I agree with Microsoft saying that Call of Duty is no longer an essential game. I think you can make that argument back in the day during Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 1 and 2, and Black Ops 1 and 2, and then it just started petering out. Yes, it still had millions and millions and millions of players, but that number has been going down every year. The only reason they have so many players right now isn't because of the newest Call of Duty. It's because of Warzone. Warzone, this free-to-play thing that's on everything except for the Switch, is what is really beefing up Call of Duty's player count right now, not Vanguard. I mean, I picked up, 5 copies of this game for $10 each? I mean, it's a worthless game series now. I don't even know when I'll play this. I kept 1 copy, traded the other 4 to pay off Splatoon. But yeah, it's a worthless franchise now because they have just sequeled it into the ground. And they just stopped putting the care and attention that this kind of game needs and used to deserve. I don't think it even deserves it anymore with what they've done with it. I mean, there have been so many different missteps with that franchise that calling it an essential game is just kind of a joke. And I'm going to do a whole video on this specific topic, but I don't think there's any essential first-person shooter right now. I feel like all of them have kind of just killed themselves. They've all sequeled themselves into the ground and not really paid attention to what made them successful in the first place. Battlefield sucks nowadays. That's not even like a controversial statement. Call of Duty sucks nowadays. Another non-controversial statement. Halo sucks nowadays. I mean, look at the player counts. Who am I battling against here? All of these games have rested on their laurels and haven't actually moved the franchise forward and gotten better in any way, so none of them are essential games anymore. And that makes me sad. I love the old days when there was a brand new amazing Battlefield, a brand new Call of Duty that we were all excited to wait in line for, and a new Halo that we were looking forward to playing couch co-op and playing online with our friends. Now, you don't really have that with any first-person shooter that I can think of. All that being said, and I know I've talked a lot of bad things about PlayStation, but that's just because they've been doing a lot of dumb shit lately. Microsoft isn't out in the clear either. It's not looking like they're just going to win the console war by any means, considering the fact that Xbox Series X really seemed like a PC replacement back when PC parts were extremely difficult to get, graphics cards were through the roof, and building any sort of gaming rig was at least twice as much as an Xbox Series X. But now, with all of these PC prices going down, card prices becoming more affordable for a lot more people, makes that value proposition of a PC replacement kind of fall by the wayside. I feel like there's a lot less reason to own a Series X over a PlayStation 5 if you are a PC gamer, because all of those Xbox games are also on the PC. This kind of makes the Series X pointless unless you really do just want to play video games on it and you don't care about the highest fidelity frame rate, not paying for online, having more marketplaces to choose from than just the Microsoft marketplace, having a lot more games to choose from, having so many other different things. If you care about just a basic gaming device, yes, the Series X is still, $500 is still going to be way cheaper than any PC that can play games like the Series X. However, they're going to keep coming down. They're going to keep getting close. They're going to start closing in that gap between the price of a computer that can run just as well as a Series X. And that's going to cause some issues because Microsoft doesn't have any exclusives on just the Xbox. They're all Xbox and PC. And also, you could argue maybe they don't care about selling the consoles and they just want you on Game Pass, since there's also a PC version of Game Pass. They just want people on there. They're fully betting on that subscription model. I'm not sure. Sony has the advantage there because, yes, they are bringing a lot more exclusives to PC, which is hurting its value proposition as a console, but they take so long to get ported to PC. And I mean, people aren't going to wait several years. People are going to want it now. So the PlayStation 5 does at least have that. It does have a few franchises that are only on that console. However, a lot of the things that made PlayStation amazing, again, were those exclusives. And it doesn't seem like there are as many so far in this generation. And we don't even know of any really that are coming out anytime soon that are going to be exclusive to the PlayStation. They're losing all their exclusives, and a lot of their studios, including Naughty Dog, who made some of their biggest exclusives on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, are kind of just doing nothing. I mean, Naughty Dog, what are they doing? I mean, they're making a multiplayer part for Last of Us 2, and they're re-releasing The Last of Us 1 again for the second time. So, yeah, they're not doing a whole lot. I don't think Last of Us 1 Remake or Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer is a system seller. And I can't honestly think of anything else that's coming out for just the PlayStation 5 that would make people go, ooh, I need that console. I just can't think of it. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, please. I'd love to know. Give me a reason to own this console. And another misstep by Sony is the fact that they are on this train along with Activision and Take-Two and any other greedy-ass corporation that can. They're trying to raise the price of video games to $70 when we all know, if we use our brains for half a second, we will see that no, games haven't stayed the same price forever. Yeah, it's been a long time that games have been $60 for the base game. But when you bought the base game in the past, you got the game. Nowadays, you buy that for $60 and you get a fraction of the game, and the rest is sold to you through season passes, DLC, microtransactions. All of those different in-game monetizations have made the game so much more expensive than that base cost of $60 that it used to be when it came with the entire game. I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, but it's just cosmetics. Cosmetics to me, and to a lot of people, including I feel like the people that are like, oh, but cosmetic microtransactions are fine, they're a huge part of the game. They're what bring a lot of enjoyment to these games. And so, I mean, if you're ripping out part of that enjoyment, you're not getting the full game anymore. And now you're charging $70 on top of having all that monetization in your game? I don't think so. Maybe if you cut out all of the monetization in these games, no more loot boxes, no more season passes, no more in-game stores, no more currencies that you have to spend real money on to then use in the game to obfuscate how much you've actually spent on all this crap in these games. If you did all that, I could see the argument games can be $70. That'd be fine. But that's not how it is, and that's not how it will ever be, because they make so much money on microtransactions. Yes, thankfully, most of their games don't have microtransactions in them, but there are definitely some that still do. And if they have it in there, it shouldn't carry that extra price tag. It's nice that Microsoft isn't putting that price tag out, but I'm definitely not going to start praising Microsoft for their game practices, because their games are chock full of microtransactions. I mean, Gears of War had loot boxes, Forza Horizon has loot boxes, and a bajillion things you can buy. Almost every franchise that Microsoft owns is packed full. So yeah, they didn't raise the price to $70, but they still raised the price by cutting out and gutting a bunch of their games. Another thing that I'm really thinking about when it comes to the console war is the fact that Sony doesn't really have a budget option. There's no really cheap PlayStation 5 that you can get your hands on to at least get your feet wet and play the games that are coming out just for that console. Mind you, there's basically no games that are only on the PlayStation 5 because everything's on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Once again, they're kind of pulling a Microsoft and not really adding any value proposition there and not really selling the system in any way. Why do I need a PlayStation 5 when Ragnarok is also on PlayStation 4? Why do I need a PlayStation 5 when the new Horizon game is also on PlayStation 4? There are all these questions that are going through my head as they're deciding to release these games on both platforms. Now, it's very customer friendly that they're doing this, and I'm glad that they're doing it for people that can't get a PlayStation 5 or can't afford one. But in terms of making the PlayStation 5 a system that people need to own and want to own and really want to seek it out, they're just not doing it by doing that. But they don't have a value line PlayStation 5. The only cheaper PlayStation 5 they have is only $100 off, and it's just the digital edition. Whereas on the other side, I mean, Xbox has the Xbox Series S, which, yeah, it is significantly less powerful than the Series X, but it's powerful enough to run most of these games at 60 frames per second, making it a smooth and enjoyable gaming experience for a much cheaper price tag. And yeah, $300, not bad, but guess what? It's so much cheaper than that. I mean, the amount of times I've seen the Xbox Series S less than $300, it's absurd. If you're spending $300 on it, you're ripping yourself off, because I've seen it go for $250, and just recently I saw it go for $290 with 2 controllers. So you get an extra controller on top of that, so you basically get the console for what, $60 for a controller? So that's like getting the system for $240. That's a pretty damn good deal for a current gen gaming console that is small enough to be basically something you can bring with you when you go on vacation, hook it up to the hotel TV or wherever you're staying, and now you have your Xbox on the go with you. I mean, that is such an amazing idea. I made fun of it at first because I didn't see its value. I finally bought one, checked it out, and I was like, oh my god, I get it. Okay, I get it. Do I still think it should have been a little bit cheaper? Yes, considering that they've shown the fact that they can have it cheaper, as it is constantly discounted. But if you can get one for a cheaper deal, I mean, it's not a bad way to be able to start playing current gen games. Now, the question is, how well will it age? Probably not amazing, unfortunately, but it will always be able to play the games. I'm just sure later down the line, I don't know if they're going to be hitting 60 frames per second, and yeah, they'll definitely not be hitting that 4K. But I mean, recently they did actually unlock some of its capabilities in a recent update and make it load faster and work better. So they're already optimizing the console to try to keep up with all these different games. So it's really anyone's guess as to see how well it will age, but it seems like they actually care about the product. And also, it's really funny, we're talking about a console war here at all, because it is incredibly difficult to buy a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of comments down below saying that their local stores have them in stock and on the shelves. Well, guess what? Most places don't. If you look on BestBuy.com or any website, it's not gonna be available. No PlayStation 5s, no Series X's, but what's available? The Series S, and pretty much everywhere. Now, I know Sony has come out recently talking about how many systems they've sold, and they're doing pretty damn well, and Microsoft doesn't release their numbers anymore, unfortunately, but they're saying that this Xbox has sold faster than any other Xbox before, and I think we can give most of the credit to that fact to the Xbox Series S and the fact that it is very affordable, especially as we're approaching, I mean, a lot of people are saying a recession's coming. I mean, there's chip shortages. There's all these different things. Groceries are getting more expensive. Gas is getting more expensive. So I'm sure a lot of people have gaming very low on their list of priorities of spending money. But they also want something to distract themselves from all of the bullshit going on in the world. So what are they going to do? They're going to go with this console that's cheap and has a subscription that gives you every game that they'd want to play day one. So if we're looking at an early indication of who might be leading so far in the game console war, I would have to say it's going to Microsoft right now. But They can't get too cocky like they've done in the past with the 360, where they actually had a lead and then lost it to the PS3 near the end. They were being anti-customer. They were trying to block cross-platform gaming. They were doing all this scummy crap, and Sony just swept in. They had a clean Blu-ray player system, and it had a lot of great exclusives and a lot of great games. They caught up and won at the end of that console lifespan. Plus, I mean, I'm sure a ton of people were tired of the 360s dying on them. I mean, holy crap, what a poorly engineered product. I mean, I went through like 3 or 4 of those things. So they have a slight early lead, I'd say, in this console race. They've lost the past 2. They really need to get focused, and I think that's what they're doing this time. They're at least trying to appear as pro-customer as possible by really ramping up the value of Game Pass, allowing you to have a budget option when it comes to consoles, and not raising the base price of their games. But again, if PlayStation starts coming out with more exclusives, they're going to be losing a lot of people to PlayStation, because exclusives really do decide who wins the console war a lot of the time. I mean, if somebody wants to play a game and it's only on a specific console, you bet your ass they're probably going to get it. So we'll just have to see what happens. We're very early, and honestly, like I said, it's funny that there's even a war going on right now when you can't even get the flagship systems easily. I can't just walk into a Target or Walmart or Best Buy right now and just pick up a PlayStation 5 or Series X. There really isn't it's not like them battling it out is really going to decide what anybody would be able to do today, because you can't just buy one today. But I like the fact that competition is going strong. I like the fact that they're really battling it out. They're both trying to make their consoles the best, because at the end of the day, this values us the customers, because as long as they're trying to just pull us over to their side, they're trying to make their products better. They're trying to make it a better value. And because of that, we all benefit. So even though there's a console war going on between companies, don't join them for the love of God. Being a fanboy of any of these consoles, whether it be Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, being a fanboy and like attacking other people online and just being weird about it doesn't make any sense unless you own an absolute shit ton of their stock or you work for the company. Remember, at the end of the day, these companies don't care about you. They care about your wallet. That's all they're trying to get. So don't be a fanboy. Don't pick a favorite. And just watch them battle it out for your money. At the end of the day, pick whatever console really suits you, whether you want the exclusives that are only on the PlayStation, or you want the subscription over on Xbox and you like what they put out. Whatever suits you is what you should pick. And the reason I didn't include Nintendo in this whole battle is because they're not really, like, Microsoft and Sony aren't really battling with Nintendo. They're not really trying to do anything, because Nintendo just kind of does their own thing. Like, they're just off, just doing amazing. Like, they're selling, like, what, 100 million Switchers or something crazy like that. They're blowing it out of the water. They've sold so many freaking Switches. They're selling out. They were selling out constantly during the beginning of the pandemic. They are selling games like crazy, and they have their own first-party titles that Sony and Microsoft can't touch. And that's just going to continue to make them a best-selling console. As long as they've got Zelda and all of their other first-party properties that nobody else has, Nintendo is always going to just kind of hang out in their own little realm and do whatever they want. And honestly, I kind of respect it, because instead of trying to make the most powerful box that competes with the other powerful box, they're making weird shit like this. That's awesome. We need a company out there that is trying to do new and interesting things. We need that innovation. I mean, think about how many things that Microsoft and Sony have tried to steal from Nintendo. Remember the PlayStation Move that was basically just Wiimotes? You remember the Kinect that was also trying to compete with motion gaming? I mean, there's so many different things that these companies have tried to, like, take from each other. And again, that only benefits us in the end. So it's wonderful. I'm happy that it's happening again. I hope it rages on even harder, though I do hope Sony stops the whole blocking thing and just tries to make their service better. Give me a reason to get your upper tiers of PlayStation Plus. Seriously, I would love for a reason to get it, but at the moment, they're not releasing their first-party games there, so I'm just not going to do it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the console war so far, if you think this is the most brutal it's been between Sony and Microsoft, or if you think another point in time has been. And of course, like the video, subscribe for more content. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.